Munich, Nazi Germany, 1938. Gathered in one room, a Jewish family reads the scriptures before preparing for sleep. Before drifting off, the little girl asks her parents why their people are so hated. Her father explains that Adolf Hitler blames them for the troubles of the working class, and some people believe him. But soon Germany's economy will improve, so there's nothing to worry about. After these words, Nazis burst into the apartment. They drag the parents onto the street, where they are executed in front of little Ellie. Thus begins a film based on true story called Resistance. You are on Good Movie channel. Enjoy watching. The action of the movie is set in Nuremberg in 1945, where General Patton stands on the podium delivering a motivational speech to American soldiers. General Patton tells them the story of a unique individual whose heroism deeply touched him. This is how we are introduced to the main character of the movie, a Jewish young man named Marcel. Before the war started, his family lived in Strasbourg, a French city located on the border with Germany. During the day, Marcel worked in his father's butcher shop, and in the evenings, he pursued his passion by performing as a mime in one of the local cabarets. His strict father did not approve of this hobby and wanted Marcel to follow in his footsteps and become a butcher. One day, Marcel's cousin came into the store and asked for help. It turns out their community decided to shelter a group of Jewish orphans who had been evacuated from Germany. These children had experienced a lot of sorrow, and since our character worked as a clown, he could easily entertain them. Reluctantly, Marcel agreed to help.
There they are, 123 children. Their parents were just killed by Nazis.
He suggested using his father's van to transport the orphans. However, when they arrived at the destination, the frightened children refused to go outside. So Marcel, using pantomime, put on a friendly face, earning their trust. The children were placed in an empty castle on top of a hill, hidden from prying eyes. In addition to our character, the volunteer group included his cousin George with his wife, his brother Alain, and two Jewish girls, Mila and Emma, whom Marcel had secretly been in love with for a long time. They all faced the challenge of raising such a large number of children for the first time, and initially, chaos reigned in the camp. Assessing the situation, Marcel decided to act in a tried-and-true way. This time, with the help of pantomime, he quickly captured the orphans' attention, turning maintaining order into an engaging game for them. Before, everyone considered our character a failed clown, and no one took his pantomime seriously. But now, after working with the children, everyone saw his talent. Even his strict father, during dinner, praised his son in front of the whole family for the first time. In 1939, Nazi Germany had significantly strengthened its military capabilities. Many people were seriously considering the inevitability of conflict. At a meeting, Alain touched on this topic and proposed immediately starting training with the orphans.
They're children.
We need to train them to survive.
With Marcel's help, the adults easily explained the grim truth to the children, turning their preparation into a cheerful game. On one of the training days, the sirens suddenly sounded, and the radio announced the attack on Poland. The war had begun. The French authorities also announced the evacuation of settlements bordering Germany, meaning all the orphans needed to be prepared for relocation urgently. After discussing this at the meeting, the adults decided to divide the orphans into small groups and secretly transport them to the southern part of the country. Breaking Jewish law, the children had to be placed in churches and Catholic shelters. 6 weeks later, Nazi forces took the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and most of France. By 1941, Germany had significantly increased its influence in the occupied territories, making it increasingly difficult for Jewish communities to hide their whereabouts.
You're gonna visit me, right?
Come.
Handing over the last child to the shelter, Marcel discussed with his brother joining the ranks of the French resistance. Alain agreed, but on the condition that Marcel personally inform their strict father of this decision. Finding father, our character couldn't believe what he saw. It turned out the man had become an opera singer in one of the local cabarets, Marcel's father was against his son's creativity only because he feared for him. After all, in his opinion, most artists couldn't earn a living, while a butcher would never go hungry. Having received father's blessing, young people headed to the resistance headquarters, which was in Lyon at the time. Unfortunately, Alain was detained by a Nazi patrol at the train station. But Marcel didn't abandon him. Assessing the situation, he incapacitated the guard with a flammable mixture, creating panic and helping his brother escape.
Welcome to the Resistance.
In the central hotel of Lyon was located the largest Gestapo headquarters, led by Klaus Barbie, who entered history under the nickname Butcher of Lyon. This Nazi officer was known for his extreme cruelty. One of his working methods was the implementation of an informant system, where any city resident could provide valuable information about the resistance for personal gain. Particularly active collaborators were rewarded with a special badge. This method quickly yielded results, as the Nazis managed to discover the location of the partisans. During a roundup night, all the male resistance fighters were on assignment, leaving only women at the headquarters. Unfortunately, Emma and Mila were among those detained. During interrogation, only the two girls remained alive. Despite the horrendous torture, they agreed to remain silent. Understanding this, Barbie changed his approach and made Emma responsible for her sister's fate. After obtaining valuable information, he released exhausted girl, humiliatingly presenting her with the badge. Mila never left the hotel. After enduring the horror, Emma immediately went to the train station, ignoring the Nazi cordons. Seeing his beloved, Marcel went after her, first asking his brother to distract the patrol. At the station, Emma approached the edge of the platform, preparing to step in front of an approaching train. At the last moment, Marcel caught the girl, saving her. Alone together, Emma suggests the guy that they fight the Nazis to the bitter end to avenge all the deceased Jews. However, Marcel manages to convince Emma otherwise. After all, one of the goals of Nazism is the complete extermination of their people, so it's essential for them to survive and save as many Jewish children as possible. That, he argues, is the true fight. Later, at a volunteer meeting, they propose to Georges to take part of the children to Switzerland through the snow-covered Alps. With the number of orphans increasing every day, it's becoming too dangerous to shelter them all in France. Considering the complexity of the operation, they decide to take the route with a small group of children. Our characters devise a plan in which they, as part of a scout troop, go on a hike to the French Alps. Their train makes a forced stop in Lyon for inspection. Emma recognizes her torturer among the inspectors, so they decide to hide her. As the Nazis board the carriage, the children start singing loudly, having learned a Catholic prayer, Ave Maria, in advance to confuse them. Fake French passports were also prepared for everyone. During a personal interrogation, Marcel convincingly plays the role of a school teacher, and Barbie even asks him for some parenting advice for his young daughter. The inspection is successful, and the guys continue their journey towards the Alps. At that moment, a Nazi troops patrol storms the Jewish community and extracts information about the children's escape from a tortured rabbi. A decision is made to allocate a whole squad to search for them. By that time, our characters had traveled a long and arduous path, and everyone was exhausted. Near the border, while taking a break, the Nazis catch up to them. It was too late to run, so Marcel orders everyone to climb trees. What used to be a fun game for the children now determined the fate of the entire group. Outwitting the patrol, the kids eventually ran, but they were still spotted. A chase ensued, during which the group managed to escape using a steep cliff and poor visibility to their advantage.
Unmöglich, dass sie überlebt haben.
All the children remained unharmed, but unfortunately, the same couldn't be said for Emma. She sustained a serious injury and did not survive the night. In the morning, a local hunter spotted the group and delivered the good news. They had reached Switzerland. Subsequently, Marcel, risking his life, continued to smuggle orphans across the Alps many times. Thanks to his efforts, hundreds of Jewish children were saved. The film's narrative shifts to the moment when General Patton tells his soldiers about this.
Soldiers, remember his name. Marcel.
For his assistance to the French resistance, Marcel Marceau was awarded the National Order of Merit. He became the greatest mime in history. His father, Charles Mango, was deported to the Auschwitz concentration camp, where he perished in 1945. After the war, Klaus Barbie was found in Bolivia. He was extradited to France and sentenced to life imprisonment for crimes against humanity. He died in prison in 1991. This film was dedicated to all the children who suffered during the war. Thank you to everyone who watched until the end. If you enjoyed the story, please support the video with a like and leave your comment. On this channel, you can always find retellings of good movies.